I had a great conversation with Don Bukar that I'm going to show you here in a moment. Don is the director of the Dadhood Program at the Crossroads Pregnancy Clinic in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and he and those who work with him at the pregnancy clinic are doing the Lord's work. And I do not exaggerate at all when I say this. What they are doing is they are approaching the men and women who are in perhaps the darkest and most difficult time of their life with an unexpected, unplanned pregnancy that they have no idea how to handle, and offering them hope and a solution and a way out. Don is on the front lines of this battle, as are the rest of the people who work at Crossroads Pregnancy Clinic. If you would like to support their work, I would urge you to do it. I'm going to put their website down below in the description and on screen now so you can check them out. Don made it clear to me that while donations are always appreciated and needed, what they're most in need of on a day-to-day basis is actually volunteers. People, just like you and me, don't need to have a degree in counseling or be an expert in rhetoric on abortion. You just need to be a person who has a heart to serve and a heart to care for these people who are in a very difficult time. And so if you're at all interested in this, or you're anywhere near the Fayetteville, Tennessee area, check out their website, get in contact with them. They would love to have your help. And also another thing that they're doing in the coming days, on March 21st, coming up quite soon here, they're doing the Pheasants and Fathers Pheasant Shoot fundraiser to support their Dadhood program. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a steak dinner, there's going to be an auction, and of course the shooting is going to be going on. There's going to be a hunt. If you want to register for that, I'm going to put the QR code on the screen and also in the description. So check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with all that said, I hope you enjoy our conversation. Well, Don, thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me. I'm glad for the tour we had. Can you tell us a little bit, for people who don't know, who you are and what you do here?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. My name is Don Bukar, and I am the director of the Dadhood Program here at Crossroads Pregnancy Clinic in Fayetteville, Tennessee. We've had a clinic here since 2019. We provide services to women, men, families. We are a pro-life organization. We're founded on the idea that the Bible gives us a plan for parents, it gives us a plan for marriages, and a plan for life. And we try and deal with and help young people that come in here, or maybe not so young people that come in here, that are going through, in many cases, a crisis pregnancy. A lot of times not. Sometimes they come in and they wanted this baby, they're happy, they just want a confirmation of pregnancy, an ultrasound, and they want some help on how to be parents, and we do that kind of a program too. So we have a clinic here. We serve several hundred people a year. We are dedicated to helping them get through what in many cases is a crisis in their lives. On the dadhood side, which is my bailiwick, right. We get a lot of guys that come in here that they didn't anticipate this happening to them. Now, they did something to cause it to happen, but they didn't think about the consequences. They're surprised, they're unprepared, they may be frightened. You'd be amazed at the number that come in here that think that their lives are over at this point. That all the dreams are shattered, the things they had planned to do are gone, they can't do it. A lot of them come from environments that they've never had a dad in their lives, or they've never had a good, decent dad in their lives, and they don't have any good mentors. They don't know how to be men. They don't know how to be dads. So we have a program that we try to introduce them to that helps them to learn how to be good men, how to be good dads, and how to be good husbands if that's what they need to be.
Right.
We know that not every dad is going to be involved, but we want them to be involved.
How often is a dad involved when the young woman walks in here? Obviously she's the one who's pregnant every time, but how often do you see a dad?
I would say that it has increased dramatically over the last year, the number of dads that are coming in and getting involved in our program. We're still probably running somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 60 to 70% of the dads will get involved in a dadhood thing. Now part of that, though, is not from lack of interest. One of the things we do is we encourage these guys to, hey, get a job if you're not working. And a lot of these guys are working, and so we're not able to go ahead and meet them during the time that we're here. And we've just I expect that number of men serviced is going to go up a lot because we've just instituted an online based education program that will help these guys that are already working. We can meet with them online on weekends or in the evenings when we're not here, so that kind of thing. But we are seeing an increase in the number of dads that are interested, and the reason we're seeing that is because on our female side, the female mentors, the advocates that work here, are reminding these moms of the fact that these programs are available for the dads. Now, it is true that in some cases the moms don't want the dads involved, and they have legitimate reasons for that. Bad decisions, but hey, we deal with where they are right now, okay? We're not condemning them, we're not criticizing them, we're trying to help them get through what in many cases is a tough spot. But a lot of times we'll get couples that come in here, they're married, they're happy, they just want to see the baby, they want to get parenting classes. We offer financial training classes, financial peace programs, and so Bible studies. We get people all the way involved in that. We also are part of the national network that deals with abortion reversal. And you say, well, how can that be? Well, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, everybody pretty much who was on the pro-life side went, yay, we won.
Right.
Well, it's kind of worked against us in a way, because what happened was it spurred on the idea of the abortion pills that are out there. Now, abortion pills are illegal, for instance, in Tennessee. It's illegal to sell them here, to dispense them, but they can be ordered online. And for anywhere from, depending on the state you're in, anywhere from $50 to $500, a woman can decide that she's going to have to abort her baby. It involves a two-step process. The first step, the pills shut off the progesterone, which the baby needs to attach to the uterus. And the second step causes the baby to actually abort. And if a mom decides that she wants to keep that baby, she has second thoughts after doing that, excuse me, it is possible if she comes in time that her body can be flooded with progesterone, and it's a medical procedure. We don't do it, but we do it with the guy, we do it, a doctor is involved in doing this. The process can be reversed. And in the last year we had 3 babies that were actually saved and delivered and are doing quite well.
Wow.
Because the moms decided, hey, that was a bad choice.
Post an attempted abortion.
Yes.
Regret sets in,
exactly.
And they come to you.
But there's been an over 60% increase in the number of abortions nationally since Roe v. Wade was overturned. So we're fighting a battle with that. But I would say most of the clients that come in here, they want to keep their babies once they learn how to keep their babies. Okay. And we've also encouraged, if they don't want to keep a baby, we've encouraged adoption. We've done that. We also have dealt with and offer services for women and men who are what we call post-abortive. They've had abortions, and it may be years later. I can think of one guy in particular, it was 50 years later, that he had carried this guilt with him all along, and he needed to be freed of that. Even though he was forgiven by God, he never forgave himself.
How do you help a person through that kind of guilt?
Help them to understand the love God has for them. Help them to understand their value as people. Help them to understand that that baby is with God. Help them to understand that while that was a terrible thing, God forgives terrible things. He forgave Peter for denying him.
It's true.
He forgives a lot of terrible things. I'm going to say, I'm not condemning a woman or a husband or man who choose that, because I understand that Jesus forgives. I look at my goal now and look at my life involving this is being able to try to help them to understand that if they've done that, then they can come to forgiveness, and if they're choosing that, to show them there's other options. Right. But was I involved for a long time? I'd say before I got here. What drove me here was the idea that when we'd be in church and people we'd talk about Roe v. Wade, and how bad Roe v. Wade was and how bad abortion was. And I'd hear in various places, we've got to do something about this. Something needs to be done about this. Yeah. And finally, over time, the more I thought about it, the more I prayed about it, the more I read about it, when I'd hear, they got to do something. Congress needs to do something. They got to do something. I realized that the they that they were talking about, I was a big part of the they. I had the ability to do something. I found out about this clinic, and I thought, there is no way that they're going to have anything for a guy to do down here. And I came in here, and I just told them, look, I can do hands-on stuff. I can fix your doorknobs and change your light bulbs, do whatever, if that will help you out. Well, Amanda Curtis, our director, she's a clever lady. She's very smart. I love her. She's great. But she said, yeah, you can come in and do that. And then slowly she said, hey, how would you like to go ahead and mentor a couple guys? And I thought, I don't know how to do that. And she and a couple other ladies said, yeah, you can do that. And so I started doing that. And then almost 2 years ago, she came to me one day. She said, I think I want you to head up and start a Dadhood program for us. And I said, I have no idea how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think I want to do this. Sure. But I prayed about it, and through a series of things that happened, I got the message that that's what I was supposed to do, and she sent me to a couple of training sessions, and it probably took a year for me to get my hands around it to really understand what we needed to do, but it's turned out to be a very successful program, and I'm very grateful to her. I'm grateful to the Lord for putting me here for however long I'm allowed to be here.
So it's not just you doing the mentoring. How many people do you have working with you?
There's 4 of us right now, 4 guys right now that are working. We've got 1 other paid staffer, and I am paid for what I do. We've got 1 other paid staffer, and then we've got 2 volunteer mentors who come in, and we need more men. We need more men who care about the future, who care about what these young guys are going to grow up. You hear about all the time about how these kids, they don't know anything, that they're just messed up. Whose fault is that? What have they been taught? They've been taught things. If they've only gone to public schools, they may not have been taught what I would like them to be taught. If they're not in churches, then they don't know the things that you're supposed to learn in church. So whose fault is it if they don't know the right things to do? Who's that fall on? You can't completely say, oh, well, somebody else should have done it. Really?
Back to what prompted you to get here.
Yeah.
The ethereal they who are always supposed to fix the world.
Exactly. So, that I just feel like, well, we need more men. Yeah. We need more guys to get involved.
Is it difficult to mentor someone? Because I feel like screwing on doorknobs is one thing. Most people can do that. To sit down and mentor, I would imagine if you're trying to pull a volunteer in here, they're going to be like, I'm not a licensed counselor.
Well, we aren't either, and we don't do counseling. We don't do counseling. That's a whole different thing, and we're very clear about that. We guide these guys. We guide the moms. But is it difficult to do that? Yes and no. We do provide training and help, shadowing, to learn how to deal with it. But if you have had to raise children, if you've been successful in your careers, if you have a successful marriage, you've gotten so far along in life that you've relied on the Lord to help you, you can do it. Probably the hardest thing to do is to put aside You don't put it aside, but to change the way you look at why they're here and what's happened. Because in many cases, we need to be very careful to understand that, first of all, babies are never a sin. There's a term I don't like that I've heard over the years, and for years I've disliked this term, even before I came down here, and that's illegitimate baby. There's no illegitimate babies.
It sounds like it's the baby's problem.
Yeah, it's not the baby's fault. It's not the baby's fault. The parents may have done something wrong, and there may have been sin depending on the circumstances, if they're outside of marriage, that kind of thing. But it's not the baby's fault. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to be willing to accept when someone comes in, and you're in the privacy of the room that you're talking to them in, and they tell you things, to realize that when they're talking about their lives, it's really different than the way I grew up. But it is where they are. So how do you take them? Part of the things that we do is trying to realize that we need to take them from where they are to where Christ wants them to be. And that's what we do. We focus on where they are when they walk in, and see what their problems are, to see what their issues are that they're dealing with. Sometimes you get guys that come in, they're carrying the sins of the fathers, we call it. The things that happen to them from their dads, that they think they have to do the same thing. And that scares them, because they don't want to do that. They want to do better. And so we try and, as mentors, we try and work together to understand how we deal with these young guys that come in. So there's a period of time to train, but it's not, if your heart is there to help people, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
They're looking for, most of these guys are just looking for a strong mentor to guide them in their way, even if they don't admit it. And sometimes you deal with guys that come. I have never once had, we always ask if before we leave, do you mind if we pray? And sometimes the guys are atheists that'll come in here, or they profess to be, or agnostic even. And I've never had one say, no, don't do that. They may not join in, but they'll all let you do it. They'll all accept a prayer for them, for themselves. And so we do that, and you just realize that these are souls. These are souls you're dealing with. And what does God want to have happen for them, and how do you help them get to where they need to be?
Right.
And do you see those changes happening? Because obviously pregnancy changes you physically, right? It's a physical process. But I notice you're really emphasizing the spiritual and the emotional aspect of it. How do you see people change in that way?
Well, you see them change in their attitudes from the day that they come in, from the first day they come in until the time that they leave. Their confidence level goes up, first of all. Because all of a sudden now they know how to change diapers. They know how to deal with the changes that are happening to mom. They know what's going to happen in the delivery room. They know what's going to happen with money. They know how to deal with the relationships they're going to have with other people. They start to understand about being a mature citizen even. So you see confidence change, big time. I mean, that's a big thing that you can kind of track as they develop. And then you certainly see when they come back with mom and the baby, or they're coming back for Bible study classes, or they're coming back for family classes, or they're coming back for a financial peace class, you see a big change from the way that they were when they started. They suddenly understand. I mean, a lot of these guys, when they come in, you think back to when you have a baby, a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and a ninth one coming. But, when you first have that first one, you don't know what's going to happen. You're scared to death. Well, these guys are the same way. Well, when they come in, they're that way. And when they leave, if they have completed the program, they're confident now that they can do what they need to do. So you see that. You see that a lot.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're developing the whole person. You're not just, let's focus on your medical needs, let's get you patched up medically. And it's not even let's give you some formula and give you some diapers. It sounds like you're trying to deal with the whole person, body, mind, and spirit.
Right, because remember, what we're trying to do is introduce them to the idea that Jesus promised us an abundant life. And that's not just spiritual. You also attain that, and you live a good spiritual life by living a good physical life, a good material life.
Right.
We've had guys that have they've had to deal with addiction problems. And while we're not addiction counselors, we tell them all of our experiences, because every one of us that are here have got different experiences to share to help build these guys up. And we tell them how to get help with that. We tell them how to deal with all the different spousal issues that are going to come up. A lot of these guys aren't going to marry, but we also tell them what their responsibilities are going to be to, they're going to pay child support if they're good citizens, but also they're responsible for that baby's life for the rest of the baby's life. That son or daughter is going to be theirs no matter what, and they're going to have to know how to deal with them.
I'm curious because you've been on this earth longer than I have, right? I'm 24 now. And there are certain social expectations that have changed over the years. And I'm curious, because I noticed you said some of them won't end up getting married, right? For various reasons. There was once a time where that was like the understood obligation.
Right.
How do you see cultural expectations, one, changing with relation to pregnancy and childbirth? And how do you see them maybe helping or hurting in this?
Well, that's a great question, because that's one of the things that we as mentors have to deal with. Because we have to understand, not always accept, but we have to understand those differences. And for instance, when I was growing up, when I met my wife, I met her through work. We had a physical association that took place. We knew each other, and over time that developed into a marriage. I would say you'd be amazed, but you wouldn't be amazed at the number of married couples or together couples that met online. That's how they meet.
How I met my wife.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. See, that's totally foreign to me. Yeah. The idea of doing that, I can't imagine how you would even do it. And there's other things that you do, and that guys younger than you do, that are also very foreign to me. But the core issues are the same. The core issues of how do you be a man? I don't care how much electronics you have, how much online presence you have, social media, there are still things you have to do as a man. God expects us to be protectors, providers, leaders. Change all the social media you want. Change all that other stuff you want. Change the online dating you want. You still need to know how to do those things.
How does a man do that in this era? Because I'm not going to lie, when I'm out in the world, I see the cultural expectation is really egalitarian. It's very much equal rights, and the notion that a man would be leading in any way almost implies authority, which is not really what the culture is pushing for. So how do you be a man in this culture?
So we've got like a week to talk about this. That is a tough one, okay? I'll grant you that. But one of the ways, for instance, is by simply expressing your opinion, if your opinion is based on wisdom that you get from mature mentors, whether it's wisdom that you get from living a Christian life from your church environment, because we encourage that. We don't force it on them, but we do encourage that, because I still believe that the Bible gives us guidance on how to live our lives, and it gives us guidance on how God wants our marriages, the love that a man should have for a woman, the love that a woman should have for a man in a marriage, that kind of thing. Now, you talk about things being equal. The Bible is, people say, oh, well, it's all about men being the bosses. No, there are divisions, but it equally says that a man will love his wife as Christ loved the church. And you know what Christ did for the church? He died.
That's right.
That's what a man does. That's how a man deals with his children, with his wife. He's willing to do everything that he can to give his life for them. Even in this society that we have, part of it is feminism has, in my opinion, has ruined guys because of what you just said. This idea that we're all equal and we can say whatever we want. You know, we'll get a lot of times, we'll get guys that are coming in here and they'll say, or the guys and the moms, and moms will go into their mentoring session and the guys will come in here and you ask the guy, well, what do you think about this? Well, I don't know, what's your feelings? What do you think should happen? Well, I'll just support her in whatever she decides. I'm going to support her. What does that mean, you're going to support her? A lot of these guys don't consider the fact that we know that in 90% of the cases, if a mom knows, whether it's a boyfriend or a husband, if a mom knows that the guy is going to help her through the pregnancy, that he is going to help her through the birth, that he's going to support her by being a person who is a supporter, a nurturer, there won't be an abortion if they do that. But if you go up to your wife and you say, and she asks you a question, she said, well, and I've jokingly done this with my wife, what do you think about the carpet color? I'll support your choice no matter what it is. She's not wanting me to do that, really. She's wanting me to say, well, I think the brown looks better than the tan, or something like that. And the same thing happens here. Feminism has told women for a long time, my body, my choice. Well, first of all, what about the baby's choice in this? But guys have been told that they have no right to say what they think about that, the issue of the keeping the baby.
No uterus, no opinion.
Yeah,
the way I've heard it phrased.
Well, that's a good point of saying it.
Yeah.
But there can be an opinion. They created that life. They helped create that life, or make that life. And in this day and age, men need to not be afraid to stand up and say, I think this is right, I think this is wrong, and here's why. Not just because of an emotional feeling, but because they've been educated into understanding why certain things are right, why they've been right for hundreds of years, thousands of years. What has changed, Tyler, that's negated hundreds and thousands of years of the way things were? How has society become so much more brilliant now that we've got to turn over that apple cart? There is a right way, and there is a wrong way. People don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. And as a Christian, not telling the truth is not kindness, it's not love. Empathy without the truth is hypocrisy. It's not the way things should be. So I think that the way that we have to deal with it as older men, with younger men, with the things that have changed, with the whole idea of this egalitarianism, is we have to go ahead and look at it and say, why do you think this is right, and how is this benefiting society? How is it making things better? How is it helping society? It is a difficult thing, and it's not something that we can solve in a 12-week mentoring session, or I can't give an answer that makes any great sense now, other than to tell you that I know that God gave us a plan on how men were to be and how women were to be, and He was in that plan. He said we're to love each other, and if I see you doing something that's wrong, how do I know it's wrong? Well, number one, it might be because I can see you're going to get hurt, or because I believe that God gave us rules on what is right and wrong. If I see you doing that and I say, well, I love him as a brother, I'm not going to say anything, I don't want to offend him. I haven't done you a benefit. If you see your daughter reaching up and about to touch a hot pot, you say, I don't want to go ahead and yell at her. It'll hurt her feelings. You're not going to do that. And in many cases, if you believe, if I believe that we have eternal souls, then I have an obligation to go ahead and share that belief without beating somebody to death with it, but let them know that I think that, and let them know, and I have also an obligation to look at them and say, how can I help them gain salvation?
That's interesting. I mean, I've definitely heard the angle before that feminism has led to the abortion crisis that we have, and I think that path is pretty clear. But you're taking an angle on it that it's really not just a women's issue, that feminism corrupted women and now women are, doing abortions. You're actually saying, no, the responsibility rests also on the men.
It does.
Who seem to have just kind of checked out of the game.
It does. They're willing to make the baby, but they're not willing to be responsible in the decision to keep it or to adopt it out or to raise it.
Right.
And they need to man up. They need to man up to their responsibilities. We've got a situation, I think, in society that we have in many ways, it's a death cult. So many in the church are willing to go ahead and read Old Testament stories about the worship that they had, the child worship they had, child sacrifices that they had, and how terrible they were, and we wouldn't do that. 66 million babies in the United States alone. So much stuff right now is out there with the Epstein files and the Epstein tapes and all the things that happened with that. To me, that and the abortion crisis that exists in our country right now and in the world are really different sides of the same coin in one sense, in the sense that, I don't think you'll find a man or woman who's going through the abortion decision and crisis that got pregnant just so they could have an abortion. It's a result of confusion, it's a result of despair, it's a result of a lot of different things, but they don't get pregnant just so they can experience an abortion. But we have a culture that will go ahead and take the things that they did, the Epstein people did. They ran to that stuff. They desired the child abuse. They desired all the evil things that took place, and that is so different than when we say, what has led to that, I think, is a diminishment in the view of the value of life in society itself. And so when you don't value life at all, it's easy to end it. And we are very careful to not condemn the men and women that come in here, because they're just like, it is they're taking an innocent life, but it's not because, in most all the cases, not because they want to. They don't know another way out, and we have to love them where they are and help them to get to a place where they seek repentance and they seek another way of looking at it. And I want to be careful about what I'm saying here, because I'm not comparing them to this cult.
No, it doesn't sound like what you're saying.
Because that's pure evil. Those people desired and ran to doing all those things. These other people are driven to a desperate situation and don't know another way out. And that's one of the things that the clinics that exist as clinics as we are, is that we try to show them there is another way, and to help them get through those tough spots. It
sounds like you're saying it's the wrong decision for sure, but it's not one that's born out of like a desire to do evil. It's a decision born out of desperation and maybe ignorance. What year were you born? 2001.
Okay, in 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were attacked. And there were people who were up on those upper floors, and the buildings were on fire, and there's video pictures of people jumping out of the windows. And I heard people saying, I could never do that, you'd be committing suicide. They had no other choice. The flames were at their backs, they were going to be tortured by flames, and they were literally pushed out by the the decision, they had no decision. They could stand there and burn up, or, you know, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to judge them, nor do I judge anybody who has had an abortion. I don't. That's not my job. I don't do that. God handles all that, and I know that forgiveness is possible. And I know restoration and reassembly is possible in your lives. And even for the Epstein people, that probably is, but when you run into it, there's a whole different thing there.
It almost seems demonic at some of the higher levels.
You see, and that's exactly, and that refers to what I was saying earlier about putting on the armor of God and the battle that's taken place. We're dealing with a physical manifestation of evil. And we're trying to go ahead and just act as God's hand, Jesus' hands and feet. And I'm not saying that in a proud way. I'm just saying that he says we're supposed to do certain things, and that's what we try to do. This place is a place of love, though. And the reason we get babies coming back here with their parents is because they feel loved. Right. And they know they're loved.
Nobody's going back to visit the abortion clinic because they felt it was such a happy experience.
That's a good point.
Have you ever, just out of curiosity, have you ever been to an abortion clinic or seen it?
Yeah. I've seen them certainly on the streets, but I've never been in it. I've seen movies of them, that kind of thing. Yeah. But no, I never have. I don't have any desire to. Yeah. I don't need to. But what we are here. This is a place of love. Everybody that comes in here, and they will say that we get that all the time, where someone will come in and say, I didn't know what I was stepping into. Our attitude is sometimes this is the only church that these people have seen. And we don't have a sign on the door that says church, and we don't have a minister here or anything like that. But there are people who are saved here. There are people who go on to be saved. There are people who find their way back to their Christian lives here. Yeah. We don't condemn. There are people who come here because they can't go to anybody that they know. They can't go to their church. They can't go to their parents at an early stage because they know that they're going to get condemned for what you've done. Right. That doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen here. And it won't. It never will. Our goal is to help these people get through what sometimes is a very happy thing and sometimes is a crisis for them, and to understand that okay, maybe something you did was in your eyes was a mistake, but it resulted in something very beautiful, and we've got to take care of that very beautiful thing. You know, a lot of times we mess up in our lives, but God has a way of turning our messes into his message. And we try very hard, and I think we've been successful, of taking these moms and dads into a much better place than they thought they would ever be. Yeah. You know, and some of that, you know, we need men to come down and help us here. And we do also need money to keep things going. We're having a fundraiser, by the way, coming up.
What kind of fundraiser is it?
Well, it's unusual for us. We've never tried this before. It's called Pheasants and Fathers. And we're having a live pheasant shoot out at Craig Game Farm, Craig Game Preserve here in Fayetteville on March 21st. We're going to have a shoot out there. We're going to have an auction, a steak dinner. We've got quite a few sponsors already, and we're having a pretty good attendance, but that's open.
Really?
And yeah, so
is there a way to like have people sign up for it, or where can they find?
Yes, you can find out through friendsofcrossroads.org or .com rather, and also just by getting in touch with us here at the clinic. Yeah. We would be glad to give you the information, or give anyone the information. But it's going to be a fun time, and 100% of the proceeds are going to the Dadhood Program. We're expanding. We're trying to reach more and more dads. We're trying to get into some of the jails to help these guys. They're dads, they're in jail, but when they come out, they're still going to be dads. They're going to have to know how to deal with what they had in jail plus dealing with outside of jail. And what we don't want, one of the things that was interesting to me when I started teaching welding was the number of students that I had whose parents were in jail. And then when they came out, they never saw them. And we want to show them that, okay, so you made a mistake, so you paid a penalty for it, but it doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and have the rest of your life be bad. It doesn't mean that your children have to not look at you as a loving dad. So we work with them also, and we do help. We've had a really good program with Financial Peace, associated with Financial Peace, which is our Dave Ramsey program, with these young married couples, and it has turned some of their lives around big time.
That's good, because I've heard one of the common pressures that makes people feel like they have no other options but abortion is financial strain.
Finances, exactly. That's that is probably one of the biggest problems to realize. I can't afford this baby. I'm barely getting by now. She's barely getting by now. How are we going to do this?
I was shocked, when I became a father, how expensive everything was.
Oh yeah.
And you got me thinking about cloth diapers, because the ones they sell in the store are so expensive.
Yeah.
You were showing me earlier.
Yeah, we have diapers here. We have a what we call a baby boutique here.
Yeah, tell us about that.
As a mom, dad are taking classes here with us, they earn 15 to 20 points, which we call baby bucks, for each session. And these are cumulative, and they can also be combined with each other. And they will be able to take them into our baby boutique, which has got clothes and diapers and baby supplies and all kinds of things. And the dads have a Dad Depot thing, which they don't even have to pay for with any of their bucks for. They earn tools, a toolkit, just by attending. And we provide formula at no cost. And that's a biggie for a lot of these couples that come in here. The formula is expensive.
Yeah.
And so we cover that. Everything we do here is confidential, and it's at no cost to the clients.
That's excellent. Because I walk in here and I feel like this is a very peaceful, calm environment. It does feel very private, and I think that really helps people feel a lot more at ease.
Yeah. If you were here during our work hours, there's babies crying, there's moms talking, there's dads talking, and it gets busy at times. We are very busy.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. That is what we want. Sometimes it wears us out, but it's a good thing to be that busy doing what we do.
You're doing something you believe in.
Yeah.
That you can literally see a mother walking through the doors with the fruits of a changed life.
Oh yeah.
That's gotta.
And the dads too. And that's what's so cool about it. And all of the people that work here are, each one of us, we feel like we're all family. We have occasional disagreements about things, but it's always within a loving relationship and just sharing because we all have the same goal. Everyone here is Christian, and that helps us to share and to know what our motivations are and what the next step is. I've never worked, truly, I have never worked in a place like this. It is a gift to be here. It really is. We try and help these young people, as I said, when they come in here, we're going to meet them wherever they are and take them to where Christ wants them to be.
Yeah.
But to just be here, the same thing really just happened to me. I guess it was a gift the day I walked in the door here.
Yeah.
And to be here is a true blessing, and I think it is for every person that works here.
Do you have a mixture of older, younger volunteers? Or are they?
I think our the younger guy that's here is in his 40s, and then I'm 75. I'm the old man, and then the other two guys are in their around 60.
So it sounds like you need some young people to come in.
We do.
Yeah.
We do, because and it is amazing because we all relate differently. As one of the other guys told me, he said, I treat him kind of like an older brother, but you treat him like a dad. And so you get whole different things, and you get different. It wouldn't matter, as young as you are, you could do this work, because if you were guided in how to deal with it, because if your heart is to help somebody who needs help, If they come in these doors, they're coming because they need help. And we don't turn them away. We don't say, oh, you did, I don't know about you. And you really, you know, if you got rid of half of those pins out of your face, you'd be a lot better. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Tattoos, hair color, how many ornamentations you got in your ears, none of that matters. What matters is your soul. What matters is what you're going through. What matters is the baby. All of that is what truly matters.
Yeah.
We're here because we want to help people, and we don't do it out of any sense of any gain. And when I said I was a paid staff here, I am, but anybody who knew what I was getting would laugh, because that's sort of just not really.
And you don't charge anyone who walks through the door.
Not a bit.
Not a
bit. And tell you the truth, I'll do this for free.
Yeah.
I mean, it just has become so all-consuming as far as the mission. We were told to go out into the world, and as I told you earlier, this is the world here. You don't have to go. I think it's great to go to India and Honduras and all those different places, but we have need right here in our community, and we really do. We really, really do. And so it's a great place to be. It's a great mission. I'm blessed with the clients that we have. I'm blessed with the way that they change, the way they improve. They learn so much, and the way that the people here work together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Don. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Tyler. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.